Hello and welcome to another karting video. This is the 10th round of the Club 100 Sprint Championship in 2022 and we are at Ellough Park in Norfolk. So strangely enough, this was the very first properly wet event I've been at all season, which is quite extraordinary. Given we started in March, you'd expect at least some wet running, so it's quite unusual. I've included a bit of footage from the test session that was before the racing, with the camera facing backwards, to give an idea of what it's like to drive a car on slick tyres in the wet. And as you can see, and here, there isn't a lot of grip. I mean, I've driven in a lot worse conditions, to be honest, and this was quite nice. It was pretty fun most of the time. The cornering technique's quite interesting, and as you can see, come up to the hairpin at the end of the lap here, it involves winding on the maximum lock until the front end of the car starts to bite, and then catching any resulting slide. It's a very weird thing when you first do it. Once you get used to it, it's absolutely fine. But you can see how little grip it is. The car's even trying to step out going straight down to turn one. So yeah, it's quite interesting. I must admit, I had quite a lot of fun sliding around. Not sure it was possibly the quickest way around the track, but you know, part of the reason for doing this is fun. I'm not expecting to get a Mercedes contract out. So on to my first heat, which is heat 3. I'm starting third on the grid, my highest grid position of the day. Before we even get to the line, I'm being pushed along by the car behind. As we come down to the first corner, I try and move to the inside, hoping the car behind me will just kind of stop pushing me along, because there's really no grip down here. He doesn't, he keeps pushing me. And I shove the pole sitter wide, which I got a penalty for. It seems a bit unfair. There's nothing really I could do. I was being shoved forward by the car behind. You know, even though I braked into the corner, it didn't really make a huge difference. But it's one of those things. Coming down to the hairpin for the first time, I'm pushed a bit wide, and just a whole load more cars come through. I'm, you know, to be honest at this point, I know and I'm racing against a bunch of mostly heavyweights, so they're a lot lighter than me. And I'm just trying to get by, to be honest. And obviously the track got dry as the day went on. So we're coming into the hairpin that finishes the lap, into the final corner, and lap one's in the books. It looks like someone's had a bit of a spin or been bashed off the track, and they're slow coming out the final corner. And I mean, this was my highest start position of the day. I wasn't expecting to finish that high up, but I was at least hoping to, you know, stay on the track, avoid any silly incidents. I mean, you can see here there's so little grip. People come sailing past me and almost don't make the corner. I mean, this guy almost doesn't make the next corner. So clearly, you know, there's opportunity that people would potentially make mistakes. But the penalty I got basically relegated me to the end of you know, the bottom of the results. There wasn't anything I could do about it. It was just a bit frustrating. Steve Lindy's just come past. I don't know where he started. I think he might have had a bit of a problem on the first lap as well. In fact, we come to the end of the lap, and I think there's a bit of excitement in front at some point. Maybe not this lap, maybe the next. Yeah, because Steve's catching them up. So I mean, there's a group ahead. They're not miles in front of me, so you know, you think, okay, if someone makes a mistake, there's an opportunity perhaps to make up some places. But as I said, with the, I think it was a 4-place penalty that I had. You know, I'd have to finish mid-pack really for it to make a huge amount of difference to my finishing position. You know, like I say, not a lot I can do about it. It's just a bit frustrating. I'm sure the guy on pole position was probably not exactly happy about being pushed wide at the first corner. But again, you know, that wasn't intentional on my behalf. If I hadn't been being pushed along by the guy behind me, you know, that wouldn't really have happened. In fact, I think at the start of the next heat I was in, I overheard Joe Holmes talking to someone about his first heat, because he was sort of involved in the incident when he's pushed wide, although he did recover. But I heard him say to someone, "Oh yeah, the guy in third place was just being shoved along." It's like, yep, that was me. Great. You see, there's a bit of kerfuffle in front, but I never really take much of the opportunity to do anything about it. As I say, with the penalty, there was not much I could do anyway, really. So, first heat out of the way, not great. On to my second heat, heat 8, and this time I'm starting 8th place. Supposedly my mid-grid start of the next heat. I ended up starting 9th, so not so much mid-grid as needed back. But anyway, I'm going to show quite a bit of this race, mostly because the sunset's really pretty, not really because I did really well. So coming into turn 1, Anwar goes flying through. There's a bit of pushing and shoving. People are all over the place. To be honest, at this point, I'm literally just trying to find a gap somewhere to not get involved in any more stupidity if I can avoid it. But, you know, we'll see what we can do. Down to the hairpin for the first time. Kind of all concertinas up, and I bogged down really badly at that point. I think the clutch almost came in. So that really hurts me. Because this part of the track is pretty much flat out. Down to the back end of the track. This is the bit that's actually been restyled as part of the changes they made to the circuit over the winter. I actually really like what they've done to that corner, because I got a penalty at it last year for hitting tyres. So yeah, I quite like now that it's quite an open corner and there's quite a lot of space. So starting the next lap, starting lap 2, you know, I'm not that far away. There's a bunch of people in front. Maybe there's something I can do if I can just keep, you know, doing something, doing the right things. Coming down to turn 1, and then suddenly the back end locks. I have a couple of attempts at trying to save it, almost do, and then I don't. It's just a bit frustrating, to be honest. Not having had any issues at that corner all day during the test and during the first race, just a bit silly, to be honest. The most frustrating thing is that there's a huge amount of runoff there. There's no reason, actually. I should have just opened the steering and just taken a really wide line, and that probably would have stopped the back from snapping around, and I would have been fine. I would have lost a bit of time, obviously, to the guys in front, but not as much as actually spinning completely, which was just a little bit frustrating, to be honest. Particularly after the first heat with the penalty, you know, not great. So we can just get back to enjoying the sunset, to be honest, because I don't think a lot happens in this race. Towards the end, I think I do catch up to 1 or 2 carts in front that basically run out of laps to actually get past them. But still, the conditions, to be honest, particularly at this point, just amazing, really. The cloud, the sun going down. It's one of the probably prettiest sessions of karting I've had. I mean, you know, you could say it's not about how nice the sunset is, it's how successful you are, but still, it looks quite nice, even if things didn't really go to plan. By the time we get to the final heat day, it's actually fully dark and the floodlights are on. So you'll see I end up changing crash helmets, and I'm wearing a white plain white crash helmet because I've got a clear visor on there, and I just couldn't be bothered to swap visors on my main helmet. But yeah, so not great, but still, like I say, I think I said earlier on, quite enjoying sliding the car around in the conditions, even if I wasn't quick. And considering not being wet all season, it was quite good to at least appreciate that I haven't forgotten how to drive in the wet. Small mistakes aside, which might come in handy because the final race of the season is at the end of November at Ellough Park. So, and I think it's quite late in the day as well, so it's going to be fairly low grip, I'd imagine. And there's every chance, given the time of year, that it could be wet. But again, I'm doing around Buckmore in the wet quite a lot. Not say I particularly enjoy it, but still, it's not something I haven't done before. Right, so I think that's probably about all I can say about this heat, really, without referring to the sunset again. I think coming through this corner, we might just get a glimpse of the kart that I end up catching at the end of this heat. I'm not sure. But anyway, so that's it for heat 8. Moving on to the final heat, which is heat 12, which I think I started 10th or something like that. So we'll see what side of the grid I'm on. No, so I must be starting either 9th or 11th or something like that. Anyway, so you can see it's now much darker than it was in the previous heat. Floodlights are on. Coming down to T1 for the first time, let's see what we can do. Everyone's all over the place. There's still not a lot of grip, to be honest. Somebody almost shunted off the track there. Again, not particularly bad start, reasonably even. All I'm trying to do here, to be honest, is just stay out of trouble. I'm not in the fight with some of the guys at the front, but you know, I've lost positions. And so what happened there? Oh lordy, it's just my day, isn't it? So coming down to the hairpin for the first time, I was just trying to move slightly to the outside of the track, just to take a wider line into the hairpin, and there was somebody just outside me. I must admit I didn't realise he was there, but you can't keep looking behind you all the time. And he just ever so slightly tagged me, and that was enough to send me spinning. And then, yeah, I lost Lord knows how many places. I think at this point I'm almost effectively last. It's just really frustrating when you think my first heat got penalty, no real fault of my own. I mean, I'm sure wiser people than me will say things I could have done differently at that start, but I don't really know. When someone's pushing you along, you're braking, and it's not making that much difference. I'm really not sure what you can do. The second heat was my own mistake, a bit frustrating, and this one again, you can argue, well, I put the car in the wrong place on the track, but to be fair, it's lap 1, it's all quite tight. It's not unusual that someone would want to, be out slightly wider at the hairpin. But again, I don't think there's any malice involved. It's just unfortunate that, it's a slight contact. If the guy had been further alongside me, there would have been, it would have been more of a contact, and I probably would have noticed. I certainly would have noticed, and maybe would have been wheel on wheel, and it wouldn't really been a problem. But it is what it is. To be honest, again, there's not a huge amount to say about this heat. There's not really much excitement. I did close up to a couple of karts in front of me, but ran out of laps. There wasn't really a lot I could do about it. So, it's on to the C final. So here we go, C final. After all the various struggles I had in the heats, I'm starting dead last. To be honest, the day I've had is probably the best place for me. Anyway, here we come, up to the start. Looking pretty even. too bad. Down to T1. You can see that the track's dried a bit now. There's not really a dry line, but it's certainly drier than it was. There's a bit more grip. Yeah, not really a bad start. You know, I'm just trying to keep it clean, and unlike these guys in front who seem to be doing all sorts of things to each other. But that's fine. I mean, the more they do this, the more chance I've got of picking them off. You know, staying with the group, because they're just going to be bashing each other, pushing each other around the track, and not really concentrating on going forward. So, you know, that's good. Oh, somebody unfortunate enough to be off the track at this point. It's not great. But come through down towards the final hairpin. You know, there's a bit of a gap, but they're not getting away ridiculously. And you know, they're fighting away each other. They're still going for it. So through the final corner, end of lap 1. Let's see what we can do. Down to T1, not locking up, which is nice. So there's, you know, a little bit of a gap that's opened up, but they're not exactly vanishing off into the distance. In fact, I think it comes down to this hairpin actually closing up a bit again, because fundamentally, because all these guys in front are all trying to get past each other. There's a bit of pushing and shoving. They're probably trying to go too wide places where maybe it's not the best thing to do. You can see I close up quite a bit coming into this section. Down to the final hairpin again. You know, they pulled a bit of a gap on me, and now I've managed to close that up quite well. Reasonable drive over that corner into the last corner. So there's a big group here, 5-6 cars. That was pretty cool, I have to say. But there's two here fighting with each other, pushing each other off the track. So this guy, I managed to almost get down the inside. To be fair, knowing the lack of grip, you know, I kind of matched him on the brakes a bit, but I thought, you know, there'll be other chances. Don't push it. You know, I'm sure you'll get opportunities later. So back down to the hairpin again. Yeah, it's about a 5-6 car group, so quite reasonable to probably hopefully get on the back. Turning in here, and I really don't know exactly what happened there. So I've been through that corner, found the times I don't know. In conditions wetter than this, certainly in the test, had no issues with the cart snapping on me, and then literally I turn in and it just snaps. There's no warning, nothing. Yeah, slightly bizarre, can't really explain it. And there's no braking in that corner either. You literally just turn in and hopefully, you know, control the car if it slides at all, but it's not a case of it slid, it just literally just snapped. 1 minute it was pointing in the right direction, and the next minute it wasn't. And I said that literally was the first time that had happened all day, and it pretty much sums up how things went for me. I mean, I still enjoyed the day, because driving in mixed conditions I always find enjoyable, just because I think it helps. You know, since I started karting, I think it's helped my car control massively, because of having to drive in the wet on slicks. So, and I'm trying, you know, coming towards the end of the season, I'm trying not to beat myself up a bit. It's been difficult. I've had a number of issues out of my control, a couple of quite heavy accidents. So to a certain extent, I'm trying not to be hard on myself. I like this track, because the reason why I entered the race, I wasn't necessarily expecting anything amazing. So, yeah. Main thing is, you know, it still was enjoyable. And next time out, we're back to racing in the Club 100 experience. In fact, the last round of the experience at Ellough Park. As I said, it's going to be a night race again. It's probably going to be cold. It's almost certainly going to be damp, so that should be quite interesting. And it'd be nice to get back to the 30-minute race format. You know, I much prefer that, to be honest, compared to the sprints. It's generally a bit more restrained, and you can kind of work your way in, which is great. So, yeah, thank you for watching. There'll be another video along reasonably soon after the final round of the Club 100 experience at the end of November.